How's that? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good to
Okay.
see you.
Nice seeing you too.
How's your week going?
Busy. Just
Yeah.
uh, trying to. We're supposed to be 104 and 106 here, 101 today. So I've been trying to get the yard work, watering and all that before the heat hits. It's
Yeah.
probably nice where
Yeah.
you're at, huh?
Well, it gets hot here, but it really cools off during the summer, which I'm really grateful for. Yeah, the mornings are beautiful here. Yeah, love it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
in Boise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a stepdaughter that's up there.
Okay.
Lives up
Okay.
there.
Have you been up this way?
I haven't for a while, no. Um, she lost her, well, my stepdaughter, we lost her a year ago, February. So Mandy's been down here a lot with her dad. So yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's so good to see you. How's your studying going?
Good. If I ever get my, uh, well, I had to go run and get a Chromebook, which I really love, but then it wasn't, who knew, it wasn't compatible with my HP printer. So yesterday I went and got another printer because the internet's been, we've had such hard winds down here and
Really?
Northern California. And
Uh-huh.
so, yeah, so I have a guy coming tomorrow to check everything. And so I wasn't able to print out my last workbook, but I'd made a whole bunch of notes
Good.
that night, so I'm gonna be okay. Yeah, and I can
Good.
always listen to it again anyway, so,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
it's going good.
Yeah.
Yeah, going good. I just
Good.
identify with so much of it anyway, you know,
Good. Good.
because of what
Good.
Dad the last year presented to me. So my own little schooling, I guess, but, yeah, so, yeah, yep,
It is. I think I kind of refer to it as just, we kind of begin to learn from our life curriculum. All of our experiences bring us to this moment, and I think,
right.
sometimes in the hardest moments, I look back and I'm like, I'm so grateful for that,
Mhm,
hard, but yeah, all those life lessons and all those things that they teach us, it really
right,
helps to prepare us for something different.
it does. And I can't wait to get to the dementia part because both my parents are still living. They're 96, but my dad is really, he's got dementia and it's really starting to progress
Oh,
now. So be able to help
yeah.
my mom and yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
and
think
then just
that's,
get on with it. Help the veterans. That's what I want to do
yeah,
is volunteer and help the veterans. So
love it. Love it. I just got an email this morning from, there was I shared in the group, there was I follow this group of sisters, and they do podcasts, but they're expanding and growing. They're over in Virginia, and it's called the Confessions of a Reluctant Caregiver. And they did something last night that was specific to help PTSD with veterans and being a caregiver. And I
oh
didn't make it, but I'm hoping they'll send me the recording. So
yeah,
maybe there's,
that would be great. That would be
yeah.
great. Yeah, there was Gone
Hi,
from My
Heather.
Sight too is another book that
Yeah.
was revisited about or visited on actually GMA, Good Morning America, the author of it. And it was about how to gone from my sight, but it's more about taking care of yourself as a caregiver and what she finally learned and what she but I want to pick that up too, that book. So yeah.
Is that Barbara Carnes that you're referring to?
You know what? I didn't catch her name, but it's gone from my sight. And she was on Good Morning America yesterday morning. So
Oh,
yeah, I think Barbara Carnes does ring a bell.
Barbara
But
Carnes did a little booklet called Gone from My Sight, and she's
okay,
amazing.
a
Yeah,
little blue booklet or something. Yeah.
she's
Okay.
been
Yeah, I
amazing.
definitely want to get that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have
Okay,
those
Barbara
little
Carnes.
booklets. I have those little booklets that I hand out to my clients all the time. Yeah, it's good to have on hand because
Yeah.
booklet, the Gone from My Sight, is specific to really talking about the stages of death and what to expect. And she's written several other books too. So I'll put in there, it's BK Books dot. Let me just look that up real quick. We actually just had Karen Midlow, who is another doula giver here, is part of a group called Daughterhood, and it's powerful.
Oh,
And
wow.
so she's been really supportive in our work here. So
Mhm.
BK Books is what it is, yeah. And you'll find
Ebooks.
that little booklet. Mhm.
Great. Thank you for the info.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll be curious to see what Good Morning America, if that was her that was on there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I think the veterans are going to be so lucky to have your support.
I hope so. I mean, I kind of unlucky if they need my support, but I mean, that Vietnam era, which I grew up in, lost a couple of classmates. Those poor guys are really starting to transition. Yeah, pass. Yeah, so I want to do everything I can do. So,
Beautiful. That's beautiful. My dad was a Vietnam vet, and yeah, yeah, it's a special group, and it's a special group. Oh my gosh. It's so good to see you, Heather and Antonia. Thank you for coming. Good morning. Good morning. You guys can come off mute. We'll just kind of have a lovely little chat. I just wanted to check in with you to see how your homework was going and how the class went for you. And it's always so fun to see you guys here and then also to see you in the classroom too. I just love it. So this is your time. Do you guys have any questions or just want to
Well,
check in? Yeah, go ahead, Heather.
I was just going to say, I writing down for a vigil for the assignment on number 6. I thought, well, okay, I know what I would do, but what would somebody else want? So when I went to my coffee clutch yesterday morning, um, I started to ask some of the people, and it was harder than I thought, because most of the people said, oh, stabilization. And so you kind of had to give them when you've been diagnosed with something, there's a shock stage. Some people never leave it, but you get into the stabilization stage before you start to transition and go off, to wherever you're going. So I started to ask these women, and it was amazing how many people said, God, I've never thought of it. or, or I don't know. Do I want anybody there around me? Everybody was kind of blank, but it gave them a lot of food for thought to take home. so, so anyway, I didn't really get anywhere other than I had to explain that, well, do you want people to, come and spend individually like 15 minutes with you, spend some time? You're still stabilized. You're not, in a deep coma or sleep or anything. And what would you like? How do you see your room? Do you see yourself in a hospital, nursing home, care home? Do you see yourself at home? Whoa, where are you going to be? And it was amazing how everybody they look like deer looking into headlights. It's kind of like, I never thought of it. And I said, yeah, okay, maybe next Thursday we'll have a real good discussion about this or whatever. So anyway, yeah, I found it very difficult. So then I explained, what doula givers supports, like keeping it calm and quiet and just, relaxed. And it's all about the patient, give them what they want, how they want it, their music, their the ambiance, everything. And it was just really funny because I've never seen so many highly intelligent women sit there and just let the wheels kind of go, like, I've never thought of this. So anyway, I just wanted to share that. I thought that, but it made it really difficult for me because I was like, now where do I go? What do I say or do? So anyway.
Oh, good for you. Good for you for just getting that conversation started, right? Most people don't think about this. And I think that's one, I mean, there are so many reasons why we're called to this space. There are so many reasons, but that being one of them is really just like we have been put into this space. I know with from my deepest core that we're it just inviting people to just kind of open that door a little bit and say, you know, ready or not, here it comes. And then also, really being able to invite people to explore, gosh, we do have options, right? We do have options and I think it's important to have those conversations. So good for you. I do find that people are like, so what do you do? And and they're like, they either run away or people kind of ask questions. And so, it's never a one and done conversation. So good for you, Heather. Good job.
We did have one of our members. He's from the UK, and he's really interesting. He's 93 years old. And it was like, oh, I'm a bit reluctant to say anything to him. He's in great health, but
Uh-huh.
I'm reluctant to say anything to him because as soon as he asked, what is a doula? What is, and I started to explain the little things. I said, well, I'm taking this course and, I'm just trying to ease into it. Everyone else knew what was going on, but every time he goes, death, and he just gets creeped out, just really creeped out. And I'm going, it's okay. You don't have to participate. You can just listen, to what we're saying. And he's going, oh, this is giving me chills. I don't even think about death. And I mean, this is a guy who puts on plays in his condo, with other residents. And he's just so full of life that he's not thinking about the other side or where we're going or what's happening. And so anyway, that was kind of interesting too, because I'm looking at these women and I'm kind of looking out of the side of my, the eye, like, what's he doing? And I could see him going, oh, oh. So you don't see a lot of 93-year-old men, who are just not frail. I mean, he's getting frail, you can tell, but man, that guy gets out and walks and comes to the coffee shop and he just, every week he's just doing it. So I don't know. Maybe he'll outlive us all. He could. Anyway, that's
Heather,
all.
is this a nursing home you're talking about?
No,
Environment
just a coffee shop. We just meet
Oh,
for
literally.
coffee.
Okay, literally a coffee clutch. Okay, okay.
Yes. My husband has belonged to it for a couple of years, and I've been able to sleep in and everything. And that kind of got me thinking about the doula when caregiver, and because he would come home from the coffee shop with stories and all these people he would talk to, and I go, I'm not interested. And then one morning I woke up and I said, well, what are you going to do in retirement? What are you doing with yourself? What, and I'm tired of serving people without some purpose. I've been a server all my life. I've been, a laborer, and I've helped people, but there's been no much reward in it other than my job that I had for quite a few years, working as a florist. And I mean, that was wonderful because I really got into the death and dying and all those, the celebrations and the weddings and funerals and all this. But I started getting more of a one-on-one when I said, I got to get out of the shop here. I would like to do deliveries. And that's what I started doing. I did deliveries. And when I started to meet these seniors in their homes and deliver florals to them, it opened up a whole other world. So fast forward, here I am. My husband's off having coffee every week. And he says, why don't you come? And I went, I don't know. And then I thought, I really do need to do something in my retirement, something that is of service, but it's important and has a purpose. And people need people. And then I thought, and look what you're doing. You're starting to pull away. Like, I didn't want to do too much. I just want to put around the garden and paint and do things like that. And then I kind of went, well, that's not really fulfilling after a while. It's getting kind of boring. So I was starting to sleep in. And then one day, well, not one day, but my sister became ill and I started becoming her caregiver. She's a little older than me and we almost lost her and last fall, but she survived and she's still on her own living by herself. She's doing okay. And one day she'll have assisted living, but it shifted something in me. And then I said to myself, I need a sign. I need a sign. Something has to show up in my life. And it was the next day I saw Suzanne talking on Facebook. And when I saw her, I went, oh, ding dong, the bells went off and I went, okay, I've got to check into this. And my husband said, you're going to do what? You're going to pay what? And I said, I got to do it. I just have to do it. So anyway, I've never been more certain about anything. And so anyway, that's my story.
Thank you, Heather. I love that. I just wanted to say welcome to Clarice and Ray and Sydney and Dana. Thank you for joining us. And Suzanne, this is just an open space for conversation and questions. And maybe you guys might consider staying for a happy hour. We'll do little breakout rooms in a little bit, but I just want to welcome you. And this is really just an open conversation and time to ask questions. So thank you guys for joining. And Jesse, well, your hand is raised. Let's see if you, I have, let's see, I'm going to try and keep everybody muted just because this is recorded. But I might have, can you unmute yourself, Jesse? Let me see. There, you did it. Good to see you.
Okay. Hi. I had that was nice to listen to Heather just kind of talk about how she presented this to a group, just threw things out. My last, my last kind of caregiving experience, there was a couple, well, actually three, because my boyfriend, he had already started going into like a sleeping period. So unfortunately, there wasn't any time to address him about what he would want. And so then when his son, who he had adopted, he's Native American, actually got there, he actually asked me what songs his dad liked or his artist. But then Patrick also, he did some psalms out of the Bible, picked some, and then oils. They so is that appropriate to like say, like is there any part of who you are or where oils you might want something to do with oils? That's appropriate. Okay, good, because I put that on my list of,
Okay.
the vigil, different suggestions or whatever. So
Perfect. I'd love it. I'd love it. I think I, those are beautiful. Those are just beautiful, Jesse. I think that what I have done in my practice is I actually, when I'm with a client or how I imagine my own death is like, I kind of infuse my body into their body and I just look out through their eyes to just really see what is around them. And so, and invoking all of these senses, what do you want it to smell like? I love essential oils. There's
right,
this instinctual thing deep inside of me about like I just love the idea of anointing, and there's this whole other side note about just this ritualistic of, anointing your loved one
right,
and I actually took a class when I first finished with Doula Givers, there was a course that was about end of life care, I can't remember what it was called, but it was about bringing in oils and teas and things to help your loved ones. So yes, all of it. And I think you can use a diffuser. You can have fresh flowers. Some flowers are really super fragrant and overpowering. And from when I hear that scent, the sense of smell is actually pretty heightened. So we really kind of want to temper down the
Right.
smells. But if frankincense is their favorite, or lavender, or
Yeah.
rose oil, or vanilla, it's perfect. It's
Right.
perfect.
Well, and I want the opportunity to speak with Patrick again when I see him because he is Native American.
Perfect.
Um, and Dawn was, had, I think, a quarter or whatever. But the way they also applied the oils,
Mhm.
positions, and I would like to ask him to explain to me what significance for their culture that might have had, because might encounter other cultures that um, use these oils for a certain, reason, and so I
Mhm.
would love to be able to understand at least one culture's the way he used it and what he was reciting in Psalms. It was such a, I wish I could remember some of this stuff now, like, some of what he recited, but it was just, so yeah. So again, I guess if they feel like they trust you enough, it's okay to say, can I ask you what the oil signifies to you, or what, you know, I just want to know about you. I want to feel you. So,
Beautiful and beautiful. And I think some people you know, some people, I mean, we do have to recognize that people come from different backgrounds and just really being able to recognize exactly what is needed for them. And it was interesting when I was a hospice nurse, there was a woman who I can't remember which faith she belonged to, but I felt so unprepared. But her she had a house full of people, and as she was passing away, more people came and more people came, more people came, and it was a little overwhelming for me, but I really wanted to honor what they were doing. And they had there there was incense, and there was all of these rituals that were being performed for her as she was actively dying. And then after she passed away, it was just this beautiful uh, process where the daughter and her sister were bathing her and dressing her and putting her all in jewelry, but the husband was using incense, and it was just this beautiful ritual that I was just a little overwhelming because I felt so unprepared. I had called the hospice chaplain to kind of help me navigate. I want to honor that time, and they wanted to keep her body at home, and so it was just I think that we have to just meet people where they're at and really come from a place of being curious, and not really assuming because we never want to assume what
right.
is needed. And so I think coming from a place of love and being curious is perfect, and really wanting to honor what they need. And I think that gives them an opportunity to teach something to us as well. I think that they
Mhm.
are always willing to do that. So
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I
Okay.
love that. I love it. Yeah, I'm all about the oils. I'm all about, so one client also was really wanting drumming. And so yeah, just really being able to just honor, that sacred
Mhm.
space, because there's a lot of beautiful and magical things that can happen if we just invite that in. Yeah, yeah, it's beautiful, beautiful. I love it. I love it. I'm all about smells and candles. I
Me
know
too.
Susanna was the battery operated candles, but sometimes I'm really into candles. But we do have to be safe.
Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love it. Thank you so much for that. Antonia, good to see you.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Christine.
Hi.
Um, I posted in on Facebook, and I know you saw it about my methodology of working on the homework. So I did that yesterday. I wrote my whole thing. I actually went back to the week one homework of what would you want if you got a terminal like how would you react, because I had not done it, but I've thought about this a lot. I'd actually thought about this a great deal. I'm my reaction is no treatment, no nothing. I'm getting on a plane and I'm traveling the world and I'm taking whoever with me and I'm spending all the money and I'll die wherever I die. Like that's what I would do. No chemo, no nothing, like no fighting, just spend all the money, have fun, see some beautiful places and get the hell out of here.
Love
That's me.
it. Love it.
Okay. I have a question about it's actually not even a question. I'm a little stressed about the bedside hours, and I'll tell you why. Because I have sort of a relationship with VNS Hospice, VNS Visiting Nurse Service in New York. It's
Okay.
like the biggest hospice service, and they're very major and they're wonderful because my dad was in it and my tia that I just lost. So I have two experiences with them, and I thought, oh, I'll just go there. It'll be easy. Not so much. Their onboarding process for becoming a volunteer is longer than the hours that we need to do. So I'm a little like, and all week I've been like, I gotta make some calls, I gotta work on it. And I'm noticing that I'm just like avoiding it because I'm just like, it just feels like a huge project for 15 hours or whatever. So I just wanted like yours or anybody's input on how to make it easier.
Yeah, I think that so great question. And I love the idea of, spending all the money and just like living life.
Not fighting
Yeah.
back.
Yeah, yeah, and that's that beautiful surrendering. I have a little handout about just to go over that. So yeah, that's a great, thank you for bringing that up. I think it's important to start thinking about getting our bedside hours. And so I think that's probably one of the biggest obstacles the doula givers run into is getting those bedside hours. And so if you haven't reviewed what your bedside hours are, is you will need a total of 15 bedside hours with patients to obtain certification. And so one of the things that you can use is by using your past experiences. So if you have some personal experience that can actually go towards your bedside hours, but you need at least 3 patients or 3 clients. It can be more. It can't be more than 5 hours per patient maximum. One actually needs to have you present in the active vigil setting. So they have to be actively dying. And then you have to be present during an actual death. The vigil and patient experiencing the end of life should not be the same person. So they do need to be separate people. So you can't be at a vigil and at an actual death. It needs to be 2 separate people. And so, one of the recommendations is to go to your local religious organizations. And so there might be opportunities for volunteers if you're affiliated with some religious organizations. You can offer to do that pro bono. Obviously, we can't charge until we're certified.
Mhm.
The local hospice volunteer program. So I'll come back to that. Your local hospital volunteer program. So there might be in your areas, No One Dies Alone. There might be some people that are looking for some support. There's
Oh, no,
also
Noda, right? Noda.
Noda. No, that
Okay.
might be available in your area. So the No One Dies Alone program. There's also, you might even reach out to senior centers. That would be a good resource. Independent living, assisted living, memory care units, or there's a lot of people that need this support. And so sometimes we just have to look outside of the box because I think for me, just as I've been just kind of navigating this for the past few years, I've really kind of boxed myself in thinking that hospice is like my go to. And that's not really been the case for me personally. There's been a bit of resistance, with the hospice companies. And so, but it's a
Mm.
great resource for volunteers. So yep, the no one dies alone. And so once you get your hours, there's a verification form that is located in your classroom under I think it's under FAQs. And then it needs to be filled out by you. You don't need anyone to sign that form. And then you turn it in. And so once you submit those volunteer hours and you've completed the course, then you can get your certification. But let me circle back to the hospice volunteer program. So, it's a lot. So it's just like they're onboarding an employee. So you really have to do all sorts of steps. So you need to provide verification of your immunizations. So if you have your immunization record, that's great. But they also um, you can do blood tests, which are called titers, and typically it's the MMR. There is hepatitis B. I think they probably encourage a Tdap. Some do, some don't, which is the tetanus, diphtheria, pertussis. Pertussis is probably the most concerning one because it's respiratory.
Is that
TB
whooping
test.
cough? Is that
Mhm.
whooping cough? Okay.
Yeah. And yeah. So those three, and then TB testing. So that's a skin test. Also,
Oh,
they might even require a background check. I don't think that they would need a CPR. I'm trying to think of what else. Those are like the major ones, but some of the hospice companies will pay for that. Sometimes it will be out of pocket. I'm sure most insurances would pay for that if you run it through your own insurance. Sometimes you can go to public health to get those vaccinations or at least have a blood test done. So, so try not to be too overwhelmed with the onboarding. And there's probably some training that will be, every hospice company is different. I think our hospice companies here require like a 10-hour training. Um,
yeah.
None of it, of course, is paid, but I think that it is very similar to onboarding. But stay with it. I think that it could be. There is a doula giver that graduated here in Boise that is actually volunteering for a local hospice company, and they're talking about hiring her. So I don't want you to not discount the hospice companies. I think they're doulas are becoming more and more, people are becoming aware of doulas, and so I think just as you kind of navigate that conversation of doing your training, I think oftentimes it takes a lot of work. It's very expensive for the hospice companies to do the training and onboard volunteers in for them, and they really would love a commitment. So so if we're
Mm.
really kind of just saying, I'm trying to do this training and I really need my hours, I don't think that they would not include you in including you in their hospice volunteer program. They understand that there is a tremendous amount of rollover with their volunteers because oftentimes there's college students that are looking for that type of opportunities as well. So they understand that there's turnover, but it is going to be a commitment. So really kind of I've learned in my practice to just kind of walk gently in that conversation of, training as a doula, but really the goal is, to really kind of keeping the focus on the patient and not what can I get from this process, but what can I bring to them? Kind of coming from that approach has been pretty well received. So yeah, I hope that's
I was,
helpful.
yeah, I was just shocked at how involved it is. Like she literally said, I was laughing because she literally said our training is 16 hours. And I was like, that's literally an hour more than I need to do. And then, everything you're saying, I'm like, wow, I have to do all this stuff. Like it just feels like a lot for 15 hours. And yeah, I'm repeating myself, but I think I was just not prepared for how involved it was. I thought I could just show up and be like, "Hi, I'm here. I'm gonna help. I'm gonna participate and help," and not selfishly, but just I mean, I'll be present and I want to learn and everything, but I just thought like I could just do it, and it's seeming to be a lot more involved. So
Yeah, it is. And I
Thanks for the
just
Nota thing because I've never checked them out, so I'm gonna check them out.
see if it's in your area. And if it isn't, then start one. That's like, I think that if that is something that you're feeling called to, I think that all communities could benefit from a NODA organization. So, I think sometimes we have to be really creative in our work. If,
Mhm.
sometimes if it's not here, then well, let's start one. I think that it's really important. Like, Suzanne talks a lot about these hospice houses and there's just such a need of just really um why aren't we providing doulas, why aren't hospice providing doulas? Well, I think it's that reimbursement model that we're kind of stuck with at this moment with Medicare, but I think sometimes we have to be creative and creating ways that we can be supportive in our community in a way um, that I call it not really going around the system, but sometimes we have to be creative and kind of go around and make our own path because sometimes
Right.
we hit a little bit of resistance. So yeah, if you guys haven't started considering getting your bedside hours, I would strongly encourage you to start doing that now. The onboarding process does take some time, and I'm going to make a note and I'll announce that in our next class, Antonia, because we're halfway done. Oh my gosh, we're halfway done.
And
Thank you
thanks.
for that. You're welcome. So are you how long would be the process for the onboarding for you, Antonia? Besides the 16 hours, I mean, that's 2 days of training, and do they require all of those immunizations as
We
well?
didn't, she didn't mention that.
Okay.
She wasn't very um enthusiastic. She wasn't like, "Oh, great, we'd love to have you." She was like, "Our onboarding process is really complicated, and we're not having anything until July." And this was May. This was like still May when I was talking to her,
Okay.
so it just seemed like like she was sort of like, "You might want to go look elsewhere." Like she wasn't encouraging at all, and it was like I thought this was a
Mhm.
shoe in because I have a relationship with like one of the care counselors, and like I said, I have two dear people that were part of the program. So it was just kind of like, whoa, I wasn't prepared. So
And
yeah,
she
so
said,
maybe I should, I don't know if I should call her again and just like ask her more or just like start looking at other because this rabbi that works with them that I'm friends with, he gave me a couple of other places. One's called
great.
Cancer Care, and he gave me some other options, Catholic Charities. um, And like I said, I just for some reason I've been very resistant this week to like actually doing it. It just feels like a huge pain in the ass project. Sorry. But you know what I
No, I
mean?
get it.
On top of everything else, I'm doing a lot in my life right now. So it's like on top of that, on top of this program, on top of I was like, oh, I gotta work on just getting the internship, forget about doing the internship. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I get it. I get it. I love the idea of you know, for me, it's all about the flow, to be honest with you. And so sometimes when I'm like, the end goal is to get something done. And so, but if I am dragging my feet or if I'm not excited about something or I'm hitting resistance, it's just like I have to really pay attention to that. I have to really connect with my breath and just be able to be like, okay, what is this about? I have to take a moment. And so you know, it's just like finding that path of least resistance. And so you might be surprised if you reach out to another organization and it just flows and it just opens up and it's just like, oh, okay, this is what I'm supposed to be
Hmm.
doing. And Suzanne talks a lot about that of just really kind of operating from that heart space instead of the head space because our head space can just block us and sometimes I
Yeah.
have to just really recognize when I'm digging my heels in and I don't want to do something or I'm dragging my feet. I have to really pay attention to that and just kind of look inward. What's this about? And perhaps another door will open up and it'll just be super easy. So just kind of
Yeah.
think about
Well,
that.
I'm totally with you, Christine. I'm a believer in if the energy isn't there, like
Yep,
change your focus.
yep,
That's what I've been. There's a couple projects in my life that are not moving, and I'm just letting them go for a while.
Yep.
because I'm going where the energy is. The energy is here right now. The energy is, I'm starting a menopause program today, like a treatment
Love it.
program, because I've been suffering for 9 years. Like, so and there's a lot of energy around that and like getting healthy. And so, I'm going where the energy is. I'm so into what you just said.
Love it. Yeah.
I'm gonna maybe journal about like why I'm having this resistance to like finding the internship, and like, and maybe just like kind of work on it a little bit and then start making some calls next week.
Yeah. I
But
love
thank you
it.
for the conversation. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, it's a practice. It's an ongoing thing with me as well. I really, the more that I'm in tune with, I don't know, just being present, because I know exactly where you guys are at. Like, we're 6 weeks in and you just want to hit the road running, right? Let's go, let's go, let's go. But my own journey has not been linear at all. It's been kind of up and down, and I've like tried to force something, and it's like, why is this not working? And I am getting I'm having more of an awareness of just being in the flow. And I have to just tell you, just people just show up, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I it's just magical. It's just magical when I can just get out of my own way and just let things flow. Then um, I'm just so abundant in so many ways when I just get out of my own way, when I'm trusting the process. Because when I start forcing it and making things happen, then I muck it all up. So, yeah, thank you. Yeah, love it. Hi, Dana. Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. Let me see if I can unmute you.
There it goes.
There.
Okay.
It was me. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
So I am not in this class. I was in a class prior, but just like Christine said, that there's ups and downs and life gets a hold of you, and then you're like, wait, yeah, I'm tumbling. Where am I? So the one question I have for you is just about the business end for 1 second, if you don't mind.
Sure.
What do you find is the best way to do payment for your clients?
Great question. So, that has been a process for me personally, because at first it was like, do I charge? The whole the money thing has been difficult. And so when like you graduated, and so there is a payment fee schedule.
Oh, it's
Um,
not about the fees. I'm just asking physically, how do you get payment?
oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that part I've worked
You've
out.
already figured that out. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. So I do all forms of payment. I
Okay.
check, cash, Venmo, PayPal. I have a card swiper. I don't have it set up on my website yet where people can pay. I have another little practice, and so people can pay for that practice, but I don't have doula payment set up on my website yet, which is a good thought.
Okay.
But I do bundles, and so that's been really helpful for me with payments. And so yeah, I think I had one patient pay me in cash, which felt really weird, but I think that giving them a receipt is appropriate. And but I do a lot of Venmo, and then Zelle is another form of payment, so
Okay.
I kind of do it all.
I just wondered what was working for you, because there's lots of choices.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you really, I think that would be another, something that feels right for you too. I think, I don't know if you have an LLC, but,
Mm.
having some kind of record of your, collecting of payments. I do payment plans, and sometimes when they buy the package, they just pay me for, 10 or 20 hours, and then we go from there. So I had one gentleman pay me in a check. And then he changed his mind, and so it was kind of weird. He's like, oh, I want to pay you in check, but now I want to pay you in cash. And I'm like, oh, okay. So that was kind of a awkward thing, but really, but it's been super streamlined, the money
Well,
But
and a lot of older people want to pay with a check because that's how they've always paid. So
totally.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
and to circle back, Antonia, to the hospice thing, I have a great, just a phenomenal hospice here in Indy. It's so they're amazing. Anyways, I did not put that pressure on myself. I had a little bit of death experience from like family. So there was those experiences. But I didn't put pressure on myself to do those hours until I was done with the program. And right at the end of the program, as I was, kind of wrapping up, I started looking into, but they also did have an extensive training. But I have to say, I really felt like the training through my hospice program was like phenomenal. I came away understanding so much more, especially about like the fiduciary kind of like responsibility. Like, I know it's not fiduciary, but that being careful where you log things down, that people aren't looking over your shoulder, and just about emergencies, things you don't think about. So I really do think that they added a lot to my experience. And honestly, I've learned a lot through my volunteering. I continue to volunteer with hospice just because I love this hospice so much. They're my recommendation to all my clients. So I appreciate your time.
Awesome.
Thank
Awesome.
you. Good luck to everyone. It's such an amazing program. It's just life-changing.
Thank you so much, Dana. Where are you located again?
I'm in outside Indianapolis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
All right. Oh my
Thank
gosh.
you.
And I think too, developing that relationship with hospice could really be, kind of this thread, there. And I
Oh,
think it takes
100%.
time because it takes time for hospice companies and, the different agencies and home care and it takes time to build a relationship, and so if you continue to maintain your relationship with this hospice company and they know that you're a doula, it could really be like this through line, like, okay, I know a person, we trust her, we've been working with her for this long. It could really be beneficial on both sides. So
Well, that and then the care consulting, because you have a whole team of people who they haven't done their advanced directives either, and they're not sick. So it's a perfect place to come in and talk to people about advanced directives, and because that's the part I really love. The education and the planning is the part that I really love.
love it,
So
love it,
thank you.
love it. You're welcome. I'm excited
Appreciate
for
it.
you. Thank you for coming.
Sure.
Yeah, it's always fun to have someone who has had some experience. So thank you for joining us.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I like to hear about everybody's journeys because it is an up and down journey. So don't be hard on yourselves. It's it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot of emotion. I had to take breaks and like figure out where I was, especially after losing a couple of clients. I thought I was okay, and then I was like, wait, maybe I'm not okay. So it's a whole thing. So yeah, be good to yourselves. Good
Yeah.
luck.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, Dana. We're so excited to be in this space, but we have to also tend to our doing our own self-care practice and I think kind of that's the beauty of being a doula too is I don't think the hospice nurses or the hospice staff get the luxury of taking breaks in between, so we can really honor, one, we get to really spend time with people, but then also we really get to kind of take time to heal ourselves as well. So yeah,
Well, and I
beautiful.
do have to tell you that my very first volunteer client everyone loved this couple because she took care of him for 7 years and he had a form of ALS, but not, it was just different. But anyways, so he's completely mentally there and physically not. And it was a very interesting journey. It was such a beautiful journey, but the grief that she felt when she lost him was it's insurmountable. She still can't. Um, yeah, she still can't even socialize, and that made me feel sad because I don't want death to be so traumatic that people can't continue to live. And it was very interesting. So I'm learning all the time. everyone's experience is different. So thank you guys for letting me share.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem.
Excellent.
All right.
Excellent. Heather, you've got your hand up.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to say, to go back to the essential oils and the scents and the smells and stuff you were talking about. Last fall, when I got a phone call and said, leave Canada, come down to the States because your sister is on her way to the hospital. And I hadn't spoke with her for a year, and she was holding a grudge. So anyway, she was on her way to the hospital. She had a gastric ulcer that was bleeding. And I guess her body just let loose and all the blood was coming out. And so they got her to the hospital, and they came out to the waiting room because I got down there the same time to the hospital that the medics got her to the hospital, because they kept working on her, trying to keep her alive. They said her blood pressure and her oxygen levels were so low that they didn't know if she was going to make it. And I was just kind of sitting there stunned. And so I said, because knowing I hadn't spoken with her for a year, I said, tell her that I'm here. They went in, and then the nurse comes running out. She says, we told her that you're here because she wanted you to know that she was there, and her blood pressure is starting to come up. And I was like, oh, well, either I'm raising it and I'm going to kill her. She'll have a stroke or something. I don't know. But anyway, it was really interesting. So then I went in to see her as she was laying there in the emergency, and she just looked white, ghostly white. She had lost so much blood. And they looked at me like, we don't know what's going to happen. We're just going to do the best we can. They didn't know what was wrong with her. So anyway, she smelt my perfume. I guess she smelt what was on my clothes, and I wear the same Prada all the time. So anyway, she smelt it, and they said, my God, her vitals are getting better. they're coming up a bit. And I went, oh. So when I hugged her, I was saying this without trying to cry. So when I hugged her and she was laying there in the emergency, she went, I could tell she was taking a sniff, a smell of me. And she went, oh, and she was so relieved. And they said, well, whatever you're doing, her vitals are coming up a little bit, so just keep doing it. So anyway, that was really interesting. So I'm walking out of the hospital now because we've been there 4 hours, and they said, we've got to keep her cleaned up because she's really losing a lot of blood. And they eventually gave her 5 or 6 units of blood. So, I mean, she needed a lot. But anyway, I was leaving the hospital with my husband, and I was resigned to the fact that, listen, she's in no pain. If she's going, she's going. And, that's God's will. She, take her while she's not suffering. So anyway, I'm walking out of the hospital, and it's like 4 a.m. And all of a sudden I heard a whisper in my ear, and it said gastric bypass. And I went, what? And I looked around, and I thought it was my husband whispering in my ear. And all of a sudden I left him, and I ran back through the emergency, and I was run. And I opened up the sliding door, and I moved the curtain, and I looked at the 2 nurses in there, and I said, she had a gastric bypass 8 years ago. And they both looked at me, and they went, oh, thank you. That'll save time. So anyway, they got the doctor, and they rushed her off to surgery, and they were able to fix it. And she stopped bleeding. And so anyway, the next morning, after all this blood they had given her, she calls, and it was like she was wide awake and she had color in her face. And I thought, oh my God, last night you were dying. This is just so unbelievable. And she said, I remember your perfume. I can still remember it. And she said, and to know that you came and showed up. And she said, it was just like, I felt like maybe there was a chance I was going to live. And it was just so incredible. So I just wanted to share that with everybody, how the smells and things Yeah, because like Suzanne says, you're going to remember whether it's a good death or it's a bad death or whatever. You're going to remember whatever. And so if you do see a patient or a family member dying, like I have seen so many in my family and friends from dying from leukemia, cancers, all different things. And when you see the smile on their face, but they're going, and in that transition, it is absolutely miraculous. And it makes me say, oh, like Suzanne, it sure makes you want to live to the fullest, because when it go, you got to make the best of it when they go, or I'm going, or anybody's going to be going. So it's just a wonderful cycle. It's like the cycle of life, and death is a part of it. And there's really nothing to fear other than, I think, we're just afraid of pain, and how will we go out? So that's my only concern, is the painful part, like, how will that be? So I do want to have that addressed later too, because I want more confidence, because I'm of the belief that I've always said, oh God, get me to a hospital, get me to a hospital. I'd rather die in a hospital. And yet now I'm starting to think, oh, wait a minute, there's other ways to go, and I can be okay doing this. Oh, how nice. Because, being raised in the era that I've been raised in, everything was medical. If you got medical, it was the best, and you were lucky and you had the best of everything. But it doesn't really always mean the best best way to check out. So anyway, I just want to say that about the essential oils and the smells and the perfume, and just how it made such an impact on my sister, and how it made an impact on me, just to watch that happen. It was just incredible. So okay, that's it.
Oh my
Thanks.
gosh. Oh my gosh. Everything about you, everything that you said, Heather, I just was in tears, goosebumps, all of it. Oh my gosh. We can't minimize, I think I would almost classify your sister's experience as a NDE, and your death experience. She
Mhm.
was very close. And so I love, when we hear about stories like that, where we're just kind of on the edge, right? And so staying or going. And so probably that connection of just
Yeah.
bringing her back, that remembering and that smell. I'm such a big advocate of essential oils. I'm just like, there is something magical. I used to take walks around a lake that we used to live on, and there were rosemary bushes, and I would just be like almost assaulting the rosemary bushes, because every time I would just feel so grounded and like in my body. It just brings me back. And so we can't minimize, and my medical brain wants to figure it out, but really there's this olfactory nerve that goes into the limbic system of the brain. Like within just a couple breaths, it shifts our energy and really it brings us back to be fully present. And so I love that you gave your sister a hug, and she smelled, like, oh my gosh, oh, everything. That's beautiful. Yeah, I think, oh my
Well,
gosh,
she
that's
also
beautiful.
she had also said, after she got out of the hospital, and then she went into a care home and then went home, and then I took care of her. It was only going to be for a couple of days, so we thought she was fine. And I ended up being there for 2 weeks. So I know what the frustration and burnout is when you don't have medical experience. But I had all the things. I had the hospital bed in her room. We had the commode next to the bed. We had all the rubber gloves. We had all the creams, the ointments, the kits. We had everything. And I was the only one taking care of her. But I kept saying, there's something still not wrong. I called her family doctor, and they had said, um, I'm trying to figure out what it is. We don't know, but he says her stats are not right. There's something still wrong. So I got her on the commode. And then I noticed there was a little more blood, and I went, uh-oh, and it's fresh. And I thought, uh-oh, is this a polyp? Is it a hemorrhoid? Is it a, what is it? So got her back in bed, got her all cleaned up and washed down. And then I called her doctor, and he said, just hang on and wait. She should be in the hospital, but insurance is refusing to send her in, and she has really good insurance, and that they just said, no, she's not, they won't allow her to go back to the hospital. So anyway, I thought, oh my God, what do I do? So I was with her, and the next morning I said, can I get you some scrambled eggs and some coffee? Oh, that sounds good. She says, I'm just so weak. And I went, well, you've been through a lot. She was sitting up in her hospital bed in her bedroom, and she looked at me. She says, this is so lovely. And I said, well, you look a little better this morning. And then she said to me, you know, Dad sat with me all night. He was, and I said, what? And because I do have a lot of psychic experiences myself, but when she told me Dad sat in the wheelchair all night and kind of held vigil for me. And I looked at her and I went, okay, so I called the medics right away, and I said, you've got to get her to the hospital. You know, I don't know if she's hallucinating. I don't know if it's the low oxygen. I don't know, whatever. And actually they said, no, her oxygen saturation was excellent. But when I said, you saw Dad, okay. And she says, and he told me he was not going to leave me. So I thought that was kind of a miracle too. She got back to the hospital, and then they fixed her up again, and she's been fine ever since. So, I mean, it's been a long recovery since last fall, but she's home. She's living by herself. She's still in a wheelchair, but she's still doing it. So until she needs assisted living, you know, we just keep on it all the time. So anyway, I just wanted to share that about the essential oils, because the smell, and it was just miraculous that she smelt that, and it just shifted everything for her.
Oh, love it. Love
Okay.
it.
Anyway,
Thank you, Heather.
you better go on to Jessie. I'll run out your time.
Thank you, Heather. Oh, I love it. Okay, Jessie, you are next. There you go.
Yes, along with what there was saying, and I never thought about. I lost my sister last August, and she said we grew up like in way far northern California, almost to the Nevada border, and there's a lot of juniper and sagebrush. And the one thing she did say, which I could have made happen for, and I mean it, especially now after some of the education about this, is I just wish I could see and smell the juniper and sagebrush one more time. You know, so it's funny how, yeah, we grew up, we played in it, and yes. So, but I had a question. Um, so there's a big veterans present here in Shasta County, and there is a home for them. They're trying to make it a campus about 5 miles from me. Then there's a big clinic, and they're trying to get in more specialists and everything. So that's the first place I was going to approach about trying to get some hours. But is there anything that we could show them or whatever? Number one, to educate them about what a doula is if they're not quite sure, but also as importantly that we are attending these classes and we'll have certification at the end, but part of it is the 15 hours. How would you approach that, or is there anything you could think of that I could take out there in case that is a question?
Are you asking to provide them information about what a doula is, Jessie? I just want to make sure I'm
No,
understanding. No?
I understand that part. I mean, I can explain. No, if they
Okay.
question, okay, I guess to put it, if they question that I'm actually in this class that I'm going to complete and get certified in, what
Yep.
could I show them, or what could I do? I mean, has that ever come up when somebody's trying to
So-
get their hours?
So Jesse, I have to jump in because I needed proof for something, and I just emailed support at Doula Givers, and they gave me a fabulous letter. That's like a form
Oh,
letter, and then
okay.
they just put my name in, and it says she is doing this training, and it's actually a lot of information. It talks all about the program and everything. So
Oh,
just email
terrific.
support at Doula Givers and say I need documentation, and they got like within a
Oh,
day they got back to me.
thank you so much. That's a great idea. I think I'll just go ahead and do that just on the off
They're fabulous.
chance.
Erica and Allison are
Yeah,
great.
she
And
is. Yeah,
sorry to,
great.
I
Thank you
had to
so
jump
much.
in, Christine.
Yeah,
Thank you, because
that's
I was
great.
gonna
I mean,
search.
yeah,
Yes, perfect.
yeah.
So it's
Perfect.
like
Okay,
it covers two things. It tells them that you're in the program, and it also tells them a lot about what a doula is. So it's kind of killing two birds,
right.
as they say.
Thank you,
Okay. Thank
Antonia.
you.
Perfect. And you're right. I think the support at Doula Givers is amazing. They have been so helpful for me in all my endless tech questions. So,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, they are
Yep.
amazing. Perfect. Yeah, let us know how it goes, Jesse. I just love that you're supporting the veterans. I just love that so much.
Yeah. Yep. I just
Thank
want to give back to them.
Ask for
So,
verification.
Oh, say that, Sydney, again one more time.
You just asked for verification that you're in the program. Is that all you asked for? You get that
Antonia.
letter?
Yeah, I needed proof for something for a social service that I'm a part of,
Okay.
and yeah,
Okay.
and I could even share it with you, Sydney. I could email it to you or
Okay. Well,
whatever.
I'll email them. I was just trying to get more specific. Okay, that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, just emailing support at Doula Givers and say that you want a letter or something to present the hospice companies, letting them know that you're volunteering. Was that basically what you asked for, Antonia?
No, it was for a social service that I had to qualify for, and just tell them that I'm like, you know,
Training?
HRA, Human Resource Association. So, because they said, "Are you in school?" And I was like, "Yes, I am."
Mm, got it.
I just everything with them is you have to have proof. So,
Got it. Got
yeah.
it. Perfect. Perfect. Excellent. Thank you. Takes a village. Takes a village. Hi, Ray.
yes.
Good to see you. Let me see if I can unmute you. I unmuted you. It was me.
Is that for me? Is that for me? Okay.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too. Good to see everybody. It's hard for me to make these Fridays, so I'm glad I could do this one. But I do have a question, and it's after death, because I know that we develop a relationship with these families and the client, and then once the client leaves, is there some kind of weaning off, or do we have services we can offer after the actual passing of the client?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great question. It's a great question. You can build that into your practice. You can build that into your practice. And so when you sit down with the family members, I do this on the very first, I don't do it in the third, you can offer a 30-minute free consultation to let them know what your services are. But when you actually sit down and are having them fill out your contract and going over the services that you provide and finding out what they are looking for, you can offer that if you choose. Some do not, but for me personally, I offer bereavement services and I do it at no cost. And so what we have to be very clear on. One of the things that we have to, just throwing this out there, it's not directly related to your question, but just to let you guys know that we can't charge for caring of the body after they pass away. So we can't charge for services if we're helping bathe the person after they pass away. That might be kind of in interference with the funeral. We just don't want to be charging for after care of the body because that might be interfering with what's in alignment with funeral homes. So we have to be very clear. After the care of the body, we can't charge for that time. but we can charge for bereavement care if you choose to do that. And so I think someone had asked that question early on too about how, how do we, we can't just, I think one of the frustrations that I had as a hospice nurse is, I had a patient caring for them for quite a while, and then they passed away, and then you just, bye-bye,
Yeah.
after they pass away, and then you have no contact with them. And that didn't make me feel very good. Some stick
Yeah.
with me, some did not. And so, really, as the beauty of being a doula is that you can create whatever feels right for you and your client. And I actually have a hospice client who passed away, and I still take her husband lunch. We meet maybe at first it was, I was texting. Staying in contact is really a choice that, you and your client and family members can decide. But I personally don't charge for my bereavement. But if it does seem like they're going to need some additional support, if there's children involved, or if they have a larger family that needs multiple touches, I call them touch points, then you might want to build that into your offerings. But it's really up to you on how you want to do it. But I think, especially now that my client, it's been a year for her in particular, um, it was something that was meaningful for me to stay connected. And it doesn't have anything to do with me, but her husband is doing so well, because I think that hospice does an amazing job, but they'll contact their patient. The chaplains usually do bereavement support, so it's 1 to 2 days
Oh.
after death, and then I think it's 1 month. Then I think they do 3 months, and then maybe 6 or 9 months, and then after 13 months, they no longer have any contact. They do offer, bereavement, support groups and stuff like that, but really there is minimal contact. And I actually, after my mom passed away, I got 2 phone calls and then heard nothing else. And so I think that it can be whatever you choose to be. It can be quite lovely because you do get to know your clients,
Yeah.
but also,
Yeah.
but there is a time, that it's like there needs to be a natural ending, but you can build that into your practice.
Right, right. Yeah. Well, I was curious. Our hospice here, I'm rural Nevada, and evidently our hospice doesn't offer services that these other gals are talking about. Because I know just personally with me, there was no contact with my mother or my husband after death. And I didn't miss it because I had a lot of family support and friends. But I'm thinking for someone who doesn't have that support,
Yes.
gosh. Yeah. And I understand. And I don't think it would be right to charge for that. It would just be a gentle weaning, a gentle goodbye somehow. Not just boom, I'm gone. But yeah, I didn't know if there was any legal uh, thing about that, or if that could just be a personal choice. So
Yep.
that's
It's
great.
personal.
Thank you. Yeah. Fabulous.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think one of the things too that I've done in my practice is I do, like, as you get to know your family members and the loved ones, I have written down, well, one particular client that I had, she asked me to send flowers to her husband on their anniversary. So she
Oh,
paid for
nice.
that. She paid for that, and so on their day of their anniversary, I think it was 6 months after she passed, he got flowers, um, and then her son she was one of those fun moms that you open up, you put confetti in the envelope, and then you mail it off, and then confetti flies all over, and you're like, oh my gosh. But so on his birthday, she had created a card, and I mailed it off to him for his birthday. And
Oh,
just sweet things like that. And birthdays, or on their, I call it their heavenly birthdays. So I'll just send a text. It doesn't take that long. I'm thinking about you on this day, and just
yeah.
letting you know that I'm just grateful, whatever you want to write. But I think that can be really meaningful as well. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like actually physically doing, long appointments. Sometimes it's just having those little touch points to just let them know that we're thinking about them.
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, you're
Beautiful.
welcome. You're welcome. Well, we've hit the hour, so I think, are you guys, I wanted to maybe let me know how many are planning on staying for happy hour so you guys can connect. Jesse's going to stay, Antonia, Heather, Clarice. Catherine, you're going to stay? Good to see you. Thank you. And Sheila, are you going to stay? No, can't go. Did you have any questions before we break out?
No, I think everything I was going to ask has already been asked and answered. So that's why I like being here.
Perfect. Well, it's good to see you, Sheila. Thanks for
Thank
joining
you.
us. So you're going to
Thank
step
you.
away from the happy hour group.
Okay.
Are you going to step out? Okay. Oh, she's gone. Okay. And Suzanne, Suzanne and Gina, I see you guys there. Are you guys, thank you for coming. Are you guys going to want to stay for happy hour? I'm just wondering how many breakout rooms. Hi, Suzanne. Let me unmute
Sorry.
you here. Oh, say it one more time. Sorry.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't think that I can stay.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
No
though.
problem. Thank
It
you
was
for coming.
wonderful. It
You're
was wonderful.
welcome. Good to see you. Thanks for sharing or thanks for coming.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Have a great weekend.
And you.
Thank you. Gina, are you gonna stay? I love looking at the grass. Let's see. So I think what we'll do, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, Ray, go ahead.
I won't be able to stay today.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say goodbye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. You as well.
Bye, Ray.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Hi, Gina. It's good to see you. Are you going to want to stay? Are you going to stay for the breakout room? We're just or the yeah, can't stay for the whole happy hour. Okay, perfect. Well then if you want, I can bring you in to one of the rooms and then you can just leave when you can, and if not, I can just move oh yeah, go ahead, Heather.
Oh, I just wanted to say that I'll have to be out of here by 10 o'clock. I have an appointment at 10:30. Oh,
Perfect.
I'm on the West Coast, so that's why it's early and I've got an appointment at 10:30 this morning, but I have to leave at 10.
So that would be okay. So we have like so you can stay for the whole
Yeah.
time.
Yeah,
Okay.
for a moment. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Well then I'll put you in a room with someone. I'm excited for you to chat with someone. Perfect. Oh yeah, go ahead, Jesse. Oh, let's see. Unmute you.
There. Hi, can you hear me now?
Hi. Yeah.
Hi, I have to be gone by 9:45. Got to get something
Okay.
done with this hair.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
that's probably long enough,
Yeah,
right?
that's perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
and I'll plan to bring you guys back, you know, a quarter to 10 or around there, and then we'll just kind of chat afterwards. Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. All right, you guys. So Catherine, are you doing okay? Clarice? Yeah. Okay. Clarice is sending some love to you, it looks like. Okay. All right, Gina. So Gina had said Gina, she said she'd like to listen. Okay, perfect. Okay, you two. I am going to go ahead and put you in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there's going to be one room with 3, and then the rest will be 2. So this time, if you haven't joined us, with happy hour is really, I just want to, maybe talk about your why, maybe what brought you here, anything that you want to share about your experiences or how things are going, or just a beautiful way to make connections with one another. So this is just a beautiful opportunity. So we'll spend at least a half an hour in the room, probably 35 minutes. So at least maybe 15 minutes each, just so that each person has a little, if there's 3 in a room, maybe split it up, maybe 10 minutes each, or whatever you guys feel like. You guys can work on that. And so thank you for your patience. I'm going to put you in a breakout room. So hang on, and then we'll come back and meet. So stay tuned here. Oh, and then I forgot one other thing. So when you get into the breakout room, it'll say, something about you're in the room and it'll say got it. You have to click this button that says got it or okay. Otherwise it'll swing you right back into the main room. So just to remind that stay where you're at, and then I'll send you a little love note saying we're going to wrap up and then bring you back into the room. Okay. All right, you guys, here we go. Have fun. So let's see. How many rooms did I say? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. All right. Here we go. Okay, here we go. Have fun. I'll see you guys later. Oh my gosh, I love when you guys come back and you're so I love it. You guys are just glowing. I love this part. It's so fun. Oh my gosh. So, how was it? You guys got an opportunity to chat a little bit. Oh, I just love it. Love it. Love it. Hi, Heather. Yeah, good to see you.
I didn't mean to facilitate our group, but I just wanted to hear what everything was going on with everybody, how they got involved with this. Wow. And you can just tell everybody's deep. And you know how we meet people, we just see surface, and that's the surface. Then we dig a little bit, and then we dig a little bit more. And I really feel like, boy, I've gotten to know you all. This is wonderful. I feel like I have friends, new friends. It's really nice. So glad to meet you, Catherine and Maggie and Clarice. And it was wonderful. Sydney, I wish you were there. Because I remember you from our first group.
That's okay. Honestly, Heather, actually, I sent you a message. So you might want to get that. But honestly, I'm not as chatty today as normal because I'm exhausted. But
I know I'm running on excess right now, just kind of like, yeah, I can tell it's Friday. I'm like, and I'm not getting any younger, so I just have to kind of take care of myself now and just, breathe and take care of myself and get to my appointment and just, have a nice weekend and start all over again. I still am a bit concerned about week 5, week 6, because I think, I don't know, part of it is my self-confidence. A lot of it has to do, I think, is I'm so much of a perfectionist that I want everything to be perfect. And if I don't pull it off perfect, then I look at myself like you're a failure. And I go, no, you're not. Come on, lighten up on yourself. But because I know when I go into situations, I'm okay with people and I can assess the situation. I can feel it. I see what's going on. And everywhere I go now, it's safety, acute, support. Just have that in my head. And so I'm sitting there going, oh, there's your perfectionism, everywhere I go now. But I think I expect so much of myself that it makes it really difficult. And that's been, I think, the hardest thing these last 2 weeks is trying to feel like, oh, I've got it. I'm 100%, I got it. And I don't. I just don't. So anyway, oh, shut up now.
Sydney, none of us have it all. None of us do. And just when you think you got it all, something changes and you got to learn it again, or you have a situation you sure aren't prepared for. It wasn't in the book. Somebody changed it up on you, and now you got to learn it again. The thing that you mentioned about the acute safety issues, acute and support, you will find that you will have to do that not only as an end of life doula, but I'm realizing that goes over into the elder care stuff too. So memorize it so you have it everywhere.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Maggie. Oh gosh, it's beautiful. Heather, don't worry, because I think once we remember, just drop into your heart space, all of the stuff that you're learning is just infiltrating, it's being infused in, and you're just going to know that Suzanne, as she continues to teach, it's just repetitive over and over and over again. When you are done with this program, you are going to be so well trained. But all we have to do is just get out of that beautiful headspace of ours, because if we think something, that's the dangerous part for all of us. Just drop into your heart, let your heart guide you.
Yeah.
This is not a medical event. This is a human experience. And if we can just keep that in the forefront of our mind, that this is a human experience and that trust that internal guidance system, like you're going to do amazing. You have all the information that you need, and you're going to learn so much more. So just trust the process. Just trust the process. Yeah.
And don't be so hard on yourself, Heather. Perfectionism is a fallacy. It's not a real thing. Okay.
I know.
And I just want to share really quickly that because I
Yeah.
want Clarice to talk. I want to hear what you have to say, Clarice, my study buddy. That I was really freaked out last week by lesson 5. It just felt so heavy and so medical and so, and you guys know I have no medical background and all that stuff. But I re-listened to Christine's thing, and she said, go slow, listen to this more than once. You don't have to memorize this. You're not becoming a nurse or a doctor. Like in the beginning, I kind of didn't hear that the first time. Like I needed to hear that again. And it was like soothing for my soul. I sat at the library because I'm like trying to focus, and I'm like, it's gotten really hot here. And I'm like, so I had my headphones on and I was sitting there. I was like, okay, she just gave me permission to not get it all. And I have no desire to be a medical professional, and I don't have to, and this is all good. And so just want to share that helped me a lot this week.
Thank you, Antonia.
Yeah, you sound much more relaxed. Yeah. I just wanted to thank Sydney because after office hours last week, for those of us who have shared, she sent out email and phone number, contact information for everyone. So Sydney, I shared that you did that with Heather and Christine and Maggie. So now I have their information. If I forward it to you, can you add it to that list?
Perfect.
Good.
Perfect.
Thank you. That's really great.
Thanhanks for initiating that, Clarice.
Yeah.
And Sydney, thank you for compiling, getting that compilation started, and I look forward to being on it and receiving it. So
awesome. And I just can't, I'm so excited for you guys because, I like these connections that you're developing with each other, it's going to be lifelong. And I get emotional because I think about one of my doulas in my cohort 5 years ago. She had a cancer diagnosis, and actually a doula giver went to be her doula. And so what we're creating is not only connections, like for support as we do. This is tender. This is powerful, sacred work, and the depths and the level that of the connection that we're creating, that Suzanne and Doula Givers has created, is global. And I just feel so comforted knowing that, that I have my people, like you are my people. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing. And so I just love that. I love this part of it because I'm so excited for you. This is powerful. This is a journey. This is a lifelong journey that we are all taking together, and you are not alone. This is just so beautiful. So thank you guys so much. You have no idea what's in store for you. Powerful. It's powerful. Yeah, it's powerful.
can I offer something that might actually be a kind of a good note to end on? Because I see that we're wrapping up, and I don't want to mean to say that I want the last word. If anybody else has anything to say, that's fine, obviously. But Maggie, I wanted to comment to everybody, but piggybacking off of what you said about how life changes, and you think you got it all, and then you're surprised, nope, that wasn't in the book and all. So I'm sure everybody's heard that little joke about how to make God laugh, which is to plan. And I feel like it's also, you can make God laugh by thinking you know it all, like that's when he decides to surprise you.
So true.
That's true.
It is. It is. That's where I get in the biggest trouble, is when I think I'm in charge. And then when I really take my hands off the wheel, and I just trust the process, it's just magic. It is just magic. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Oh my gosh, this has been lovely, Catherine. I'm glad you had the last word. Thank you so much. And Maggie, thank you for joining us. Antonia, it's always so wonderful to see you. And Clarice, I'm so glad that you can join us. I'm sending you guys all sorts of love. Hey, let's get a picture. And let's do the reaction button that is just the heart without the effects, because the hearts that drift up are beautiful, but they don't seem to take a picture well with that. So, okay, I'm going to do a screenshot, but just bear with me. I'm going to stop crying here. And then,
You
on the
can
count
watch that, Christine, because that can trigger my waterworks pretty darn easily.
yeah. If somebody cries, it's just, I'm like, things are bubbling up. I have things going on in my personal life. I have friends that are, there's lots going on, and it just can't help. Like, it just invokes that, like, being fully embodied of being in the present moment of just like life is so precious, so precious. And it's such a gift hanging out with you guys. So, okay, one more time, we'll do hearts and then we'll take a picture. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to say 1, 2, 3, smile. Here we go. Perfect. We got it. Oh, hearts on everyone. You guys have a beautiful weekend. Thank you so much. As always, it's such an honor to share time with you guys. We'll see you on Tuesday. And then, of course, in the Facebook group, and always support at doulagivers.com if you need anything. We're here. I'm over here cheering you all on. You guys have a great weekend. Okay.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Christine.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.